My descent from paradise brought me to San Simon, where I'd rejoin the Butterfield at perhaps one of the most exciting regions of the trail. For starters, it was home to one of the most renowned stations, San Simon. San Simon was such a relief because it meant you had successfully navigated through Doubtful Canyon Pass, perhaps the most volatile crossing on the entire Butterfield Overland Mail Route. The Chiricahuas were known for plundering the surrounding infrastructure for valuable supplies. They were also quite adept at navigating challenging terrain. Doubtful Canyon is the epitome of this skill set, as they preferred to move stalkingly, using terrain advantages for cover. The canyon itself is a place that makes the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, as it's the perfect ambush spot. Often, as evidence from Ormsby's crossing in 1858, the stagecoaches would maneuver through the pass with 0% illume in the early hours following midnight. I'd be doing it in the early evening, but the threat has subsided and the locals are much friendlier these days. In Day 9, Part 2 of this series, I discussed the Bascom Affair. The fallout of this affair affected the operations of the Butterfield line indefinitely. A soldier later wrote, "Tread on a worm and it'll turn. Disturb a hornet's nest and they will sting you. So with these savage Indians, misuse them and you make them revengeful foes." This was the case when this area was the epicenter of what was basically a war of vengeance waged by Cochise. In his own words, he tried for peace once, and they broke the treaty first. Thus he retaliated with all his might. With John Cremonia, the California volunteers recalling the Cochise lost no opportunity to destroy life and property. Along the Overland Mail Route, there was growing imminent danger and increased Chiricahua presence. The town of San Simon was raided, livestock trains were plundered, and by mid-March, a Butterfield stage reported that they had seen a Chiricahua raiding party host a black flag, meaning no quarter. Interestingly enough, Butterfield ceased operations at this time and was absolved into a company called the San Antonio and San Diego Mail Line, often called the Jackass Mail. In fact, the Jackass Mail predated the Butterfield in the area, and some argue was the rightful credit of the trail. As I reached the entrance to Doubtful Canyon Pass, I paused to look back and reflect on all the places I'd seen on my journey across this Arizona and California portion of the Butterfield. I thought of all the brave settlers who blazed this trail before me, and of all the crazy events that happened in between. Cochise's engagement over the Bascom Affair extended into a prolonged war. Coincidentally, a decade after Cochise died, the boy whose kidnapping had started the war turned out to be a U.S. Army Apache-speaking scout. His way he tells the story is that he was captured by the Western Apaches, so it was all for naught. Bascom's folly cost hundreds of lives. One tale of his revenge brings us back to Doubtful Canyon. In late April, Cochise and his war party killed 9 men on a Jackass Mail train attempting to breach the canyon. Among them, J.J. Giddings, superintendent and brother of the owner of the Overland Mail Company, was on board. He and road agent Michael McNeese, who was once friends with Cochise, were ambushed and tortured with their feet bound to trees and their heads placed over slow-burning fires. The line ceased operations shortly thereafter. I met no hostile Indians, but after thousands of miles of public land, I did meet this fence. Now, what's odd to me is that this rancher erected the fence only about 100 yards or so in either direction of the road, and with absolutely zero signage, a setting sun, and not particularly caring for the trek back to San Simon, I decided to put the Landy to work. just like the jackrabbit, I decided it was time to get on my way. The fence, the sun, and a forthcoming spring turkey hunt in Texas were omens that it'd be best to skip past the New Mexican portion of the Butterfield and save an entire new expedition for that purpose someday in the future. As I sped alongside the Animas Playa Lake Bed with the setting sun, I stopped alongside the same thoroughfare I'd started my journey, U.S. Interstate 10. The 10 still paralleled the main artery of John Butterfield and Company's Overland Mail Route. I aired up my tires, decided to make a short push for another critical area within Butterfield history, the Guadalupe Mountains. Thanks again. When I wake up, we'll be in Texas. I appreciate those likes and subscriptions. We'll see you guys next time.